A couple of officials having words with one another.
A lot of finger pointing going on there as the Launceston Blues, led by Adam Sanders, are coming off the ground. No doubt Adam Sanders will be telling them to keep their eye on the ball as the Launceston Blues come off and getting a little bit of booing and jeering as they come off. The Devonport Magpie is still out there. So at half-time, a 6-point lead to the Launceston Blues. Oh, it's all happening. This is what you love about grand final football on the last day in September of NTFL football. 10-6-66 Launceston, 9-6-60.
The level of professionalism that Adam brought at the time, I think, was something that contributed to the success through that period.
Hugely.
Yeah.
You mentioned the impact that Adam had. I mean, it's profound, and it set the club on a course of not only professionalism, but standards that people keep trying to strive for today and raise the bar year in, year out.
He changed the culture of the footy club.
If you'd said to me at 12 years old or 18 years old or 25 years old if I would be coaching Launceston, I was through and through North Launceston, born and bred, Newton boy, Brooks High, just played all my footy at North Launceston, thought I'd live and die there, and had a pure hatred for Launceston, so it was certainly something that I didn't expect, but it's something that I do cherish now.
But coincidentally, Adam lives in the same street as us in the northern suburbs, or did, or still does, but Gino and I have moved on. But so we were Swampies, and we always probably had that connection.
I think it was a fairly significant period. Mark, my brother, was president, I think it was in 2006-07, and we were on the verge of a really successful period.
I'd moved to Queensland for a couple of years in 2000-2001 to play footy up there, and I came back and played a year with the Tassie Devils in the VFL and was aligned to North Launceston as well. Malcolm Atkins made contact probably in about May or June of 2002 around it, and I just said I'd have a chat to him at the end of the year. Sort of didn't make a decision straight away. Launceston certainly wasn't a destination club. Had a couple of other interviews with a couple of other clubs, but I suppose I just liked the way I suppose they were going to let me do things the way I wanted to do it, and it sort of snowballed from there, and probably by September of 2002 I'd said I'd do it.
The start of that era, Adam Sanders was the coach, and this facility we're sitting in was just like run down. It was shocking, and said we come through in the 70s, and it hadn't changed.
First thing I noticed was there was still a shoehorn in the change rooms that had been there from about 1950s or whatever it was. So it was very run down. The place was just run down and just lacked a bit of spark. That went through the club a little bit as well, with the way they played, and even the supporters are a little bit downtrodden and not expecting great things from the team. So they were happy with sort of a win here and there, maybe against a North Launceston or a South Launceston, but I suppose actual real success in Tasmania wasn't really something that I found that they were really after. And as I said, I think Malcolm and a couple of other people that had got involved in the club by then really wanted to, I suppose, put Launceston back on the map.
We had a succession of coaches, and of course we really kicked on when Adam Sanders took over, and Anthony Taylor came down and brought that North success and North culture to an extent.
I come across with Adam in 2003, and I was a bit younger, and he's certainly an a North Lonnie life member and stuff.
03 Sando came across with Ant Taylor, and I think brought a couple of blokes with him, but they just really built a great culture, professionalism. They still struggled a bit in 03, but 04 they made finals. They actually beat South in a final when they probably shouldn't have. And then, they're on the way up then. So I spoke to Adam in end of 04 and felt it was the right fit for me with the professionalism that he'd instilled down here, and the guys caught up for a few beers, and that was it. I think I signed a Tascino ticket at the pub, and I was here I am.
You know, I was stoked when Adam come to coach. I'd sort of stepped away from playing at Lonnie, you know, and wasn't going to play at all. And he rang me, said, "I'm decided to coach Lonnie. Would you like to come back?" I said, "Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely." I said, "Well, I've played with Adam before at North. We've won a premiership over there in under-19s, so I thought it was a great opportunity to finish my career with my cousin, you know, and to have that opportunity." So I was stoked, and he did a wonderful job down here. Yeah, he was very hard taskmaster.
It was a good group of players and then coaches, even when Sando come on board, which is right when I come here, and that was a very big eye-opener. Very strict and a big man.
My first year in 03, like I was still playing then, so I was a playing coach and a lot of young players. We started the year okay, and then a bit into the year we sort of got beaten pretty convincingly. I think we're sitting about 2 wins and 3 losses, and it might have been early in Adam's time down here. We, you know, no offence to the coaches before him, because they sort of gave a lot of us guys our first start, but Sando's first year, we rolled down to Burnie. They were in their dynasty of winning about 5 flags in a row, so we got pumped by about 200 points. Sort of starting to doubt myself a little bit, and then the bus pulls into the bottle shop on the way home, and you carry on like you won the premiership, and Sando just sat at the front of the bus and just didn't say a word, didn't look around, just made mental notes, I think. And then Monday night you walk into training, and anyone who's played football knows that when it's written on the board, mouth guards, full strapping, full contacts, you sort of know that he wasn't going to take that, and that was a once-off, and we all got a dressing down. And you know, that's, I think, when I realised that, you know, times were going to change, and we weren't celebrating the losses anymore, and winning was going to be the way that we had to go.
I mean, his first night in here at Players Tea, the amount of volunteers that are still life members that were cooking Players Tea back then, they brought out your general footy club Thursday night Players Tea, you know, your chips and your sausages and all that, and he stood up and said, "My players aren't eating this shit."
Yeah, the menu definitely changed. There was a lot more tomato-based sauce pastas, and guys were doing skin folds and stuff. So yeah, it was a, you know, adjustment, but we were young and impressionable, and I think it definitely paid off.
He certainly changed the work ethic of these guys with their training habits, I can tell you that, between a young Bo Green and Sam O'Keefe and these guys that'll be eating dim sims and stuff from Joe's on their way to training. So a lot of that changed, and they were taught through hard work from driving from Adam, who did it all himself as well, that you know, you got to train hard to get the rewards. So
I remember one day with Sando, we were playing, can't remember, and there was a lot of suspensions one day through the whole club, and he must have been injured, and he didn't train, but he was in the gym and he was eating his glucose paste or something. Come in after training and sat us all down, and he was just going off his head about these suspensions, and it was just flying out of his mouth, and as a 16-year-old kid we thought, wow.
There's a lot of stories that what stay at the club, stay in the club, you know, sort of thing, but you know, with Adam Sanders, he was a stickler for time. He was a very punctual person. And the only time I think I ever crossed paths with him was down at Smithton once. And he wanted the footballs always at 3/4 time. The footballs had to be out for you to warm up to take place. Anyway, they blew the siren early, and I wasn't round to the room. It was on time. And I could hear him bellowing from, "Where's Cocker? Where's the footballs?" I said that's the only time I ever really crossed swords with him.
It felt like a turning point, I think, definitely. Looking back now, it's pretty vivid in my mind that was something that was accepted before Sando came, and then you know, when he did that and what he sort of spoke to us about, and he was staunch the whole way through his time here. Really, that didn't change. That never wavered. He didn't sort of bend the rules. He kept on going with that philosophy, and that was his way. And if you didn't like it, then well, there's other clubs.
He certainly had the guys looking over their shoulder over the years. They were all scared of him. He'd leave the club here on a Saturday night after a home game, and they'd be like a herd of wildebeest running out the door to get the cigarettes in, because they wouldn't do it in front of Adam. But if he ever done a U-turn and come back to the club, I don't know how these boys would have handled that. But yeah, they were all frightened of him, and Yeah, so, but he got the best out of everyone.
More importantly, with Adam, this is like someone going from Carlton to Collingwood, like North Launceston to Launceston.
I still think it was seen as a little bit of an interloper from the other side of the river. Certainly, some of the North people, like I copped it, like a lot. I still live in Invermay, so I was living 500 metres from and working in Invermay as well. So I was virtually right in the heartland of North Launceston. So,
and they bashed him. Like North, when Lonnie played North here, he was strong and physical, but he wasn't a fighter, and they bashed him on every contest. Anyway, that was good tenure.
I think he copped a bit of a hard time early days, but other than that, it's all just passion. And yeah, I think as the years went on, everyone respected the move, and yeah, we had some great tussles over the years.
Yeah, I think it took probably until they saw me play and how much effort I was putting into playing and playing well and doing my job. I think that's when people sort of knew that I wasn't just here to cash a cheque or just finish my career off, and then I was actually here to hopefully make the club, great and do good things.
Your ninth goal. In he comes. The players are celebrating. Derbyshire from 45 metres out, just to put the icing on the cake, kicks the ball. It's not going to swing. It's going to be a minor score only. Adam Derbyshire couldn't care less about that. The game is all over. That behind there gives us a final score of 22-14. 22-14, what's that, Smarty? 136 to 13-11, 89, 146. So the margin is 57 points.
There was a few of us, including Mark, my brother, and Kerry Finch got involved, and we did we called it a pseudo Blues for the Future fundraising committee, and we did about a $400,000 renovation back then, and we got $8,000 from the council. So we're pretty proud that we actually did. We had all the players involved, the players' parents who were tradies were involved, and it was just a big all-in club thing. And that actually, and I think Adam would reiterate it as the coach, it actually brought the club together.
There was a lot of volunteers when we redid the change rooms, and then they burnt down.
The Launceston Football Club's recently renovated change rooms burnt down last night. The club had recently completed the $400,000 renovation to the club's facilities. And now, with an approaching final series, a spokesperson from the club said the Blues of Windsor Park are now wrapping their arms around each other in a show of community support.
The unfortunate thing was not long after that, within a few months of us finishing it, we hadn't actually done this upper level or the kitchen, and we had a fire.
It was on a Sunday night before the second semi or the qualifying final, and I could see it burning from over our place. And so we virtually the final series that we were just getting even changed in here or in the shell of the change rooms there. So so I don't know. It was I suppose it showed the maturity of the players, and they were able just keep going, and the club just kept going, and
the players were invested, and we had no players that left the club over that era, and then we won 3 premierships.
I think there was such a tight-knit group of players that sort of first appealed to me as a young 18, 19-year-old, a teenager, not knowing where to go in life, and to feel what they had originally. Sam O'Keefe and Scoob Stevens and even Tails and Brian and Adam Sanders and a few others in there, Bo Green, Adam Derbyshire. I looked at that core group of older players, and off the field they partied hard and they got along together well, and I really wanted that sense of belonging and that value in who I was as a person, but to put the reward on the back end of what was going on in the track, I thought was quite special. So getting amongst that was quite appealing first up, and then just to see how hard everybody worked on the field, I thought I could aspire to something great in the footy realm.
I think it shows like the 3 premierships that we won was led into by 3 preliminary final losses.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work over the years to build to that position where we got to, and mainly on the back of, as what we said, what Adam changed the culture down here, and really developed us as people, which then led to everything we did in terms of training and then the on-field performance.
Probably the big turning point, I can still remember it clearly, is we played North Launceston out here at Windsor Park in about halfway through 2006. It just happened to be Phil Horn and the 1976 premiership team were here on a reunion day. It was a real tough, scrappy, wet sort of game, and a couple of our, I suppose, local kids, Scotty Stevens and Dan Ellis, had really big games in front of their dads who had played in the 76 team, and we got knocked around a bit, and we ended up having quite a famous victory, and I just felt that galvanised the club. That had a really positive effect, not on only the players, but also everyone around the club, where we started to believe that we'd been close a couple of years before. We weren't quite at the level of sort of Burnie in particular. I'm pretty sure we didn't lose another game for the rest of the year. We won the 3 finals and won that flag. So I do look back to that game, as I said, as a real turning point, a real sort of bringing everyone together.
It was a lean period before our era. A lot of us were all the same age, so that certainly played a role in it.
We had a lot of players around the same age, so I was a bit older than these guys, but there was a real sweet spot of guys that played a lot of footy together, and which also involved a lot of off-field, antics and fun. So that was the beauty. We stuck together and didn't want to go anywhere else. So we had lengthy careers here, a lot of us, which was great.
It stems back to, and Finch will back it up, it just stems back to playing a lot of football with the same people. You really start to know, without having to use words, where people are going to go to, where they're going to kick the ball to. So without using too many cliches, there's plenty of those in football, but you really just start to get an understanding of each other. So yeah, the delivery was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it probably came from those early years of it not being, and then just everyone stuck around. We always talk about the fact that the Bowie Greens and the Scotty Stevens and the Sam O'Keefes, everyone hung around through those tough times, and then you get the rewards.
I think 2006 was hugely memorable. 2006 was the 20th anniversary, or the anniversary of the 20 years of the NTFL. And as we've said, we hadn't been successful since '85, so it was 21 years since we'd won a flag. So I remember running that day. We played Devonport, but playing on Latrobe Oval, really good crowd. I didn't need to see where the ball was. You could tell who had the ball, because either the Devonport end of the stand was making a noise, or the Launceston supporters were making a noise.
Yeah.
So you always remember hearing that. But
I've played just over 200 games here at the footy club, but probably the biggest games are like your finals that you win. Our first premiership in '06 was, we were the underdogs going in, and that was probably the monkey off the back for the footy club. We hadn't won since '85, I think it was. So that was probably one of the career highlights.
That '06 grand, we had 5 sets of brothers in that team. So half our team was virtually made up of brothers, and it was. Not only that, I think around about 15 or 16 of the team had come through Launceston junior pathway. So there was only myself and Ann Taylor and probably the 2 O'Keefes and 1 or 2 others that hadn't come through our junior systems.
We just had a lot of depth across the board, and we were disciplined, and we were pretty relentless just across each area of the ground, really.
It certainly had the ability to have success. It probably just needed a couple of people just to make sure the pathway and the expectations and everything was set up so they could fulfil their potential.
That little period there where we won 3 in a row, I think was definitely, looking back, probably some of the best times I've had in not only my sporting life, but just in personal life as well.
Adam, who was our senior coach, was a pretty strong disciplinarian, and drove us pretty hard. So we were always of the mentality that you play hard and you party hard together as well. And we certainly did that.
We had a lot of fun together, you know, in here in the club rooms where we had many a late night. And look, we've been in each other's weddings and stuff, you know, since we've left the footy club, and we're still close now, and we catch up quite regularly.
I came in the sweet spot of our first initial part of that era, the triple premiership, and you look at the honour boards and it sort of hits me a little bit deeper than what I thought it would, to only be part of one of the triple premierships because of injury. But, you know, to go back now and see that I am a dual premiership player, and obviously there's more to footy than winning premierships. But,
you know, coaching's all about player management and people management. You know, you've got a side, or potentially of 35 squad, you know, senior squad, and trying to get all those personalities to do what you need them to do is not easy. Yeah, you've got to have those people skills.
Yeah, I think a lot of credit sort of goes to Adam Sanders, who was, you know, probably the best coach I've ever had. He pushed me further than I thought I could be pushed, and sort of not only made me a better footballer, he made me the person I am today, through resilience and pushing through adversity and working hard off the track, like I'd never had done before. He set it up, the era and the professionalism and the sense of who we were as a club in that era, from sort of, you know, the 2004, 2005, a couple of prelim losses, but I think behind the scenes is where the magic happens at the footy club.
Adam brought a lot to the club. I think it's well documented, but not only that, he improved a lot of people as people, not just young footballers. So we grew up together from a footy sense through that era. So a big part of the premiership teams sort of started in 2003. So it was a progressive, hard work.
Very proud of the boys that I coached. Like, they've all turned into good people, good family people, you know, successful even in their work life. You know, they've, you know, lots of them played lots of games as well, so they had some longevity.